Hey everybody, Kyle Sasser here, and this is Biz Tweaks, and wanted to give you a real quick tip, a little bit of an overview on sales process, and specifically, how many times, because I get this question a lot, and the question is, how many times should I talk to somebody before I give up? So the short answer, I guess the Glenn Ross answer, is you talk to them as many times as it takes to close the deal. In practice, that becomes a little bit more difficult. Obviously, we have only so many hours in the day. The truth of the matter, though, is that most prospects, from the time it takes them to discover who you are, it takes them probably 3 to 5 times of contact for them to even understand who you are and what you do, let alone figuring out if it's going to be a good fit for their business. So if you're giving up after 1 call or 2 call or 3 calls, like you might as well not even be doing sales or trying to convert prospects into sales, because that's a really bad way to do it. And you're going to meet with a lot of failure doing it that way. Honestly, in my experience, and it varies a little bit depending on the product. Obviously, if you're doing something immediate with an immediate need, like emergency health care or air conditioning repair, something that people are in dire need of and they need it fixed, then obviously they're only going to call 1, maybe 2 people before they decide who to use for service. So your sales process there is a little bit shorter. Something longer term, like real estate, people tend to take their time a little bit more, and it requires more touches. So I'm going to drop my visor there. So, but on average, with a regular sales process, something that's not an immediate need, you're going to need to do anywhere between 5 and 15 touches before someone will decide to do business with you. Now, those touches are not necessarily phone calls, they're not necessarily in-person meetings, although each of those do count as a touch. A touch is basically any sort of interaction that you have with them. So, the best way that I've found to increase those touches without having to make phone calls or person-to-person meetings, because honestly, like, the client doesn't want you calling that much either. And they certainly don't want to meet with you that much. They have their own things to do and worry about. They're not trying to entertain you for 3 hours as you get your touches in. So the best way is to set up an automated campaign, and it can be email as well as SMS campaign. Send them some emails explaining further in depth what you do. You can put videos in there as well. Send them text messages like, hey, just checking in on you, seeing if you had any questions and all that good sort of stuff. And by doing all of those combined, you get your touches in there where you build that trust up with the potential clients without even having to lift a finger to dial a phone or go to meet with them. Like, you're building that relationship with them automatically. It's great and amazing. And I know, like in my businesses, people will actually reach out to me and they're like, hey, just watched your video, I have a question on X. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I forgot that my system was going to email that to you automatically. That's great. And then, we can have that dialogue. And it really just removes a lot of the work from you. Now, you put the work in initially because you do have to plan out your sequence, and you don't want to just blast people over and over and over again with, hey, you ready to buy? 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 Like, that's basically going to get you thrown into spam, deleted, and your calls blocked. So make sure that every touch that you send to someone has some value. Like, it explains some aspects of the product that maybe they weren't aware of, or like a hidden benefit. Hidden benefits are great because it gives people something that they might not have thought about. And if you've been doing something for a while, like, the things that people usually don't think about. So hit them with that. If nothing else, it'll make you appear very knowledgeable about the product, which that's a good thing. You want to appear as the expert in what you're doing, because that means that more than likely the prospect is going to come to you for the solution. So win-win-win. So yeah, so don't try to, so if the customer's ready to buy, of course, always just let them buy. Like, unless it's, going to significantly harm them in some way, then be like, hey, it's still a little early, let's evaluate this stuff. But if a customer is already convinced to purchase on the first or second time you talk to them, absolutely just let it, just make the sale, go with it. But for most people, they want a little bit more information, and most importantly, a little bit of assurance that the solution is the right one for them. So you have to put together that sequence of touches to build that relationship and make that trust. So make sure to get into, the 10 to 15 touches. At that point, if someone doesn't buy from you, I wouldn't remove them from my list, but I would put them on a longer contact sequence. Instead of a once or twice a week contact, I'd put them more on like a once a month contact with a call every 3 to 5 months. Because obviously they're not, the need isn't pressing, or else they would have made a decision. And you don't want to bother people too much, but you do want to stay top of mind there, and you do have to get those touches in there. So anyway, this is Kyle Sasser with BizTweaks. I hope you found this helpful. If you agree or disagree, please leave me a comment below. For whatever business you're in, leave me a comment below with how many times you usually talk to somebody before they decide to make a purchase with you. I'd be interested to see those results. And if you could hit that subscribe button, it'd mean a lot to me. It would inspire me to do some other cool videos here and help you out with some other great tips and things like that. So I'm Kyle Sasser with BizTweaks. Thanks for tuning in.